What's up everybody, I'm Mr. Era, and this is the Hifiman Drop collaboration, the HE4XX. It's another open back planar magnetic headphone. It used to cost close to $200, about $180. Now you can get it for about $130. So, at that price, is it a good deal? We're gonna go over some of the finer points of this headphone, and we're gonna compare it to the M1060s that are my personal favorites. So first off, let's talk about the build quality with this headphone. And while everything feels pretty sturdy, it also feels pretty cheap and plasticky. There are some metal elements to it, such as the bands that go around the ear cups, and I assume there's a metal band underneath this really kind of nasty pleather headband here. So it feels pretty sturdy, but it doesn't feel very high quality. And I would say the same thing about the pads. They are kind of like a pleather on the outside and a velvet velour type material on the inside, but I didn't find them to be very comfortable. I thought they were kind of itchy. Actually, on my skin, I would have preferred if they would have just went all pleather on the ear pads. As far as wearing the headphones, I've got a pretty small head, and actually for these headphones, even on the smallest setting, it's almost still too large for my head. So I just don't feel like there's a good clamp going on, and that makes that combined with the kind of itchy ear pads, and I just don't find this headphone all that comfortable at all. So right off the bat, these headphones had a lot working against them. For me, especially when I'm coming from the M1060s, and those headphones for me are just super comfortable, and the materials feel really good. So I was pretty disappointed when I first put these on and tried them out. And really when it comes to it, that's pretty much what the sound signature was for me too. Just coming from the M1060s, I just immediately wasn't pleased with the sound. While I do feel like these headphones kind of check all the boxes except for vocals, but on everything else, I think they're pretty well balanced. I think they sound okay. I don't think anything's too out of whack, but just when you're coming from the easy listening M1060s, I was really expecting more from these headphones than I got. I do feel like the HE4XX maybe adds a little bit more clarity to the listening experience. It's definitely not worth the trade-offs that you're making when compared to the M1060s. The bass on these is pretty good. Really, I think it's about the right quantity, and I do think there's some nice detail to it and a little bit of punch, but you don't get the same extension or texture or detail that you do on the M1060s. The treble on the HE4XX, I would say, is more emphasized than on the M1060s, and overall I found it to be fairly pleasing and maybe just a little bit airier than the M1060s, which even if it's not there, it gives kind of the illusion of more detail in the highs. So for bass and for the highs, I think these are a pretty decent headphone, but when you get to the mids and the vocals, that's where it really falls apart for me. I feel like they're just lacking something. They don't have the fullness or the silky smoothness that the M1060 has. To me, the vocals on these come off as a little bit sterile and maybe just a little bit too clean, and I just don't find it pleasing to listen to. And for me, I listen to a lot of folk music, which is very vocal. Vocals are a big part of that music, and so really that's the deal breaker for me when it comes to the sound of these headphones. We're talking about sound signature, if we're talking about like imaging and instrument separation and sound stage, I do feel like these are okay in all of those categories. I did game with them a little bit and found the imaging to be pretty good, but again, they just came off a little sterile to me while I was playing, and I didn't get the same immersive experience that I get when I'm gaming with the M1060s. If you look at the power requirements for the HE4XX, you can drive them off a phone. I could get them to perfectly reasonable listening levels from my Samsung S10e. However, I feel like you lose a lot of the detail when you're pushing them from a lower quality amping source like that. So kind of all of the good qualities that I mentioned about these, like the detailed highs and the detailed bass, you just don't get near as detailed of a sound when you're coming from a lower amping source. Which means this headphone costs $130, but you're probably going to want to spend like $100, $150 on a DAC amp in order to get the most out of it. So then you're talking about a $300 investment, and with these headphones for that quality, I guess for me, I don't think it's worth that price of entry. So when it comes down to it, I feel like the HE4XX kind of falls into an odd place. While it is only $130, it is, to me, it's definitely clear that it is a lesser headphone in almost every category when compared to the M1060s. That being said, you'd have to pay $70 more to get a set of open box M1060s, so that makes it hard to compare the two against each other, even though that's my baseline, so that's why I'm comparing it so much to the M1060s. Rather, this would probably be more in line with going against something like the Sennheiser HD58X from Drop. And if you were choosing between those two, for me, the HD58X is a more compelling package. I think the sound of it is overall nicer, it has better presentation, and it's also easier to drive from a lower quality amping source like a mobile phone. So if you only have $150 to spend, I would probably nudge you more in that direction than with the HE4XX. Now that being said, if you like a clean sound, this headphone might be for you. So if you're looking for something that's maybe is a little more sterile, has a lot of detail, is open back, you know, it might be worth giving it a shot in that case. But for me, my money would be on saving a little bit longer, and I would push you towards getting an open box M1060 from Monoprice, just because I love that headphone so much, and I haven't found anything for me that matches it for $200 or less. So for me, this is a sell. I was able to pick it up used for a little over $100, but even at that price, it's still not worth it for me. I know I'd never reach for this over the M1060. There isn't a scenario where I would do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and send this one on its way. Really, that's all I've got for the HE4XX. I had to get that headphone review out, and now I'm going to be focusing on closed back headphones, specifically closed back headphones that are either around $100 or less than $100. So I've got several sets of those that I'm going to be testing here over the coming weeks. If you're interested in those reviews, please feel free to like and subscribe to the channel. If you have any other questions about the HE4XX, I'll do my best to answer them. Just go ahead and drop those down in the comments below, and I'll be sure to get back to you. Thanks for sticking with me this long, and we'll see you in the next one.